If you are starting or in the middle of a fitness journey, I want to talk to you about the behind the scenes of the transformation and show you a couple examples because there's a lot of people that I talk with in my community, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on school, whether it's the clients that I work with, and they talk about how challenging it is to feel like they're alone and feel like everyone is looking at them weird or feel like they don't have any support. And what is really happening is they're going through an actual hero's journey. And so what I'm going to do in this video is take you through an actual client that I worked with. It was really cool. He got to come out this last weekend, and for 3 days we hung out like we'd known each other our entire lives. But it's a guy that I worked with actually 5 years ago. And so this is Eamon. Back in 2020, he was someone that wanted to build muscle. He wanted to make fitness a lifestyle. And in college, he'd been going to the gym, he'd been working out, but nothing ever really stuck. He still found himself in the cycle of partying, drinking, not really taking care of his diet. But at the root, and really what was deeper and going on is, yeah, he wanted to have a body that he was happy with, but in reality, he wanted to have less anxiety. He wanted to feel like he was living a life of purpose and that he was living a life of intention in the way that he wanted to. And what's really hard, especially for guys coming out of college, maybe you got some buddies, or maybe you got some coworkers, maybe you got some family that expects you to operate a certain way. It can feel really lonely when you say, hey, I'm not going to go and rage with you tonight. I'm not going to stay up till 3 a.m. and game with you. I'm not going to eat this way, how we normally eat, because I've actually got different goals. And so the whole process of wanting to make this transformation, big thing that I want you to take away is like, there's a reason why not everyone does it. There's a reason why people stay stuck and they stay in their comfort zone, because I want you to picture this right here. You are trying to go from tribe 1 to tribe 2, right? So pretend here, this is your old tribe, this is your new tribe. Now, if you were in the desert, let's say, in the Middle East, it's in thousands of years ago, and we're tribal humans as we were thousands of years ago, to go from tribe 1 to tribe 2, there's a lot of empty space. There's a lot of loneliness. And it's scary because in this tribe, you're safe. You have some level of status, you have food, you have security. And in real life, you might have friendships, you might have things that you've always done. And this is how we always do it. But when you start to break from that status quo, that's where you start to get those haters. That's where you start to get those people being like, oh, what are you too good for us? Oh, what are you trying to do, dude? Just come out with us. It's not that big of a deal. Oh man, who does this guy think that he is? What are you, some gym bro now working out? What are you trying to eat clean? Are you on a diet now? Right? These are all things that people say. And whether they realize it or not, that's them projecting their insecurity that you're trying to do something different. And what that does is that highlights their lack of stepping outside the comfort zone. Because if you stay inside that tribe, well, now you're just like them. There's power in numbers. You're going to feel so much better about what you're doing if everyone else is doing it. But as soon as you go and step outside of that, that starts to make people feel like, huh, what is this person doing? And what's really interesting when we get to the end of this is that you'll see how it very much is a hero's journey, from a Star Wars sense, from a Harry Potter sense. Any classic movie follows this script. And on that journey, when you're going from tribe 1 to tribe 2, eventually you meet a guide, right? In Star Wars, Luke meets Obi-Wan Kenobi. In what's a good example of this? Katniss Everdeen, right? She meets Haymitch in the Hunger Games. Harry Potter meets Hagrid or meets Dumbledore or meets, these different guides along the journey. And so for Eamon, he connected with me because my story was very much similar to his. I spent most of my 20s partying, drinking, not really living a life of purpose and just doing everything that I could to, stay average. And it was like this badge of honor that I had. I had this shirt from Nike. It said lazy but talented. I took so much pride in that I could get away with doing the bare minimum, but at the same time, there was this anxiety in my head, and it started to get louder and louder and louder around 26, 27. It was like, dude, you're capable of so much more. And it got to the point where I was like, man, I'm just not happy with how I'm living my life. I got to make some changes. And I actually found a guide when I was 27, 28, around that time frame. And that's when I started becoming a personal trainer. That's when I got certified as a yoga instructor. And within 8 months, I left my job at Amazon. I went from just unhappy at a job that was plenty of security. Everyone thought I was crazy. Wait, you're leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars in stock options and a career and a trajectory that, people would die for. I went to school for advertising. I was in advertising, but I had this voice in my head that's like, dude, this isn't the path. It's really cool, especially when you start to practice meditation and journaling and really slowing down and getting in stillness, is you start to recognize, there's there's a voice in my head that's telling me what I'm capable of, that's calling me for something more. Maybe it's more of what you're doing and just doing it at a higher level. Maybe it's a completely different life. And this is why it's so important to get away from the distractions, the alcohol, the excessive gaming, the things that give you that short-term dopamine and distraction. Could be smoking, could be screen time. There's so many things that distract us from that voice. And I always like to use this visual. If you slow down on the freeway, you can hear the crickets, but so much of us in our daily lifestyles are going so fast that we can't hear that small, still voice. And so for him, he was like, man, I'm partying, I'm going out, and I don't want to be this guy anymore. I want to spend more time with my art. I want to actually have results from a health and fitness side of things. I want this to be part of my lifestyle. And so when he heard my story back when I was running my company, Down Dog Athletics, he's like, oh, wow, a way to blend fitness and mindfulness. I want to reach out to this guy. And so in this scenario, I was his guide. I was his Obi-Wan Kenobi. He was going on this journey. His friends, his family were like, dude, what are you doing? You're tracking food. You're working out instead of going out with us. Like, what's going on? But he was on his path. And what was really cool, being able to work with him and see his growth and trajectory, and then see him 5 years later and how much he's grown and how much he's been able to grow and not only maintain his progress, but build off of that, really goes to show why it's so important to make an identity shift. So many people just go, okay, we're going to do a different workout, we're going to try a different diet, and it's an out to in approach. But you've got to be able to change the algorithm and the base operating system of the code to spit out a long-term different result. And so from a tactical standpoint, we did, periodized training, periodized nutrition. It's all stuff I talk about on this YouTube channel. But we practiced a lot of mindfulness. I encouraged him to meditate, encouraged him to journal, and gave him some structure and some frameworks around that. And again, some of those I have on this channel as well. But that combination allowed him to not only focus on the tactics from a physical standpoint, right? What to put in his body. Now he's putting different things in his body. He feels more energetic. He's got more clarity. He's getting stronger. He's feeling more confident, a little bit broader chested, a little bit more pep to his step. But he's also slowing down. He's getting really clear on what he wants out of his life. And again, it's been so cool to see what he's been able to do, going on hikes with him, sitting by the river, going to Mariners games. He's got an amazing relationship. He's doing commissioned art out in Chicago. He's running like events all over the city and leading these workshops, and people are coming and paying to be led by him in these specific events, right? He just got a new promotion, and he's like, dude, 5 years ago, that little shift in trajectory set me on this path, but it all started with combining the two. Mindfulness, right? Like a Jedi, while also having the training and the fitness like a trooper, which is what I do with people inside of Fit Nerd Academy. And if you feel inspired to learn more, that link's down below in the description. I'd love to talk to you about what it is that you're looking to accomplish, because really there's two different paths that you can go. You can keep going on the path that you're on, and maybe things just stay the same, they stay okay, and eventually maybe they get worse. Maybe instead of just being overweight, you become obese. Maybe instead of obese, it's something to where now you're in a ton of pain with your body because you're not exercising, and you develop different metabolic conditions, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high triglycerides. These are all things that impact your ability to have a long, healthy life. You've never seen an 80, 90-year-old diabetic person, at least not very often, because they're not able to have a long, healthy life. And so if you're someone that wants to be around for your kids, set a good example, right? That's the opportunity here, because it really is at the end of the day an identity shift. You can be the person that sets the example for your family because of how you eat and how you operate and how you take care of your body. And that inspires your wife, that inspires your kids. You can be the guy in the military that leads from the front and leads his unit and gets promoted and makes colonel, because you're the one that people want in charge because of how you hold a standard for yourself. You can be the firefighter, the police officer, again, that leads from the front. You can be the guy that all of his friends say, dude, how did you make this change? And this is the thing that is so cool about the hero's journey. In the hero's journey framework, the hero goes through this process alone, comes out, and everyone says, oh my gosh, how did you do this? Show us the way. For Eamon, right? All of his friends are like, dude, how did you get so ripped? How did you get so fit? Right? This is him in, a matter of a few months here in the middle, right? We went and put 25 pounds on him, about 15 pounds of muscle, and then we cut him off or cut him down, or it's a nutrition phrase. But now his friends are like, oh, How did you do this? Show me the way. Whereas 7 months prior, they were making fun of him for making different choices. And again, that's the difference in the hero's journey. You have the opportunity to come back and have what is called the elixir, or the new thing that is you then something that you can take to your tribe and lead other people. And that really is, again, this element of leadership, because when you break down making an identity shift, you're the person that's stepping up and saying, hey, I'm going to do things differently so that the people behind me and the people that I want to have a positive impact on can then learn from me, and they can be influenced by me in a positive way. Because on the flip side, right, influence is happening both ways. You can be the moon, you can be the tide. You're either the moon that is pulling them towards you, or life, society, which isn't great when you look at the averages, is just pulling you towards the norm. And if you want to be someone that your kids, your country, your community, right, your friends look up to, that starts with being a leader. And that's what Fit for the Republic's all about, right? It's a play off words. You got the Republic in Star Wars, but you've also got your Republic and what is important to you. So if you feel inspired to learn more, that link's down below in the description. But again, I just want to make this video for any of you that feels discouraged, like, man, I don't have a ton of people in my corner as I'm going on this journey. That's a good thing. If you've got a ton of people in your corner as you're starting, that means you're doing what everyone's doing. If you're going against the grain, you're going to have haters, you're going to have detractors. And it's really important to realize that on the other side of this journey is a whole new circle of friends, of people that operate the way that you do. It just takes time for the universe and for the energy to give you back what you've been putting out. So if you like that, this kind of content, drop a comment, let me know. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.